Well, first, I'll just say, that obviously very thankful and appreciative to be here talking to you guys today, and appreciate you guys zooming in, taking the time. Uh, looking back, at last Saturday afternoon, I want to start and just give a lot of credit to South Dakota State, and thought they came in and had an excellent game plan and made our lives very difficult. So start with hats off to them, and then obviously, frankly surprised. And disappointed by our performance out there. I didn't feel that was reflective of the preparation that we had leading up to the game, or the practice dating back to April. So certainly a little bit frustrating, a little bit disheartening to go out and perform that way. But the flip side of that is when you compete, that's ultimately you run the risk of failing, and didn't feel like we executed at a high level. I think that was certainly obvious. The good news is you get on the tape, and the first thing you're worried about is, are we having issues with effort or attitude? That's certainly not our problems right now. Everything that we saw on tape as we studied it, we feel like, we can go back to work and correct. And right now, that's what we've been hard at work at, is getting back on top of those things, taking a look at what happened Saturday, what we can do moving forward to perform at a higher level. And then the added challenge of flipping the page and moving to this week, where we're talking about playing Iowa State and what this game means, what this rivalry means. I'd echo what I said about South Dakota State. I have a tremendous amount of respect for this program, for this coaching staff, and for the players that they've brought in over the last 7 years. So we know what kind of game it's going to be. We know what kind of challenge we're in for. And right now, all of our effort is turned towards getting ready to meet that challenge on Saturday afternoon.
Thank you, Coach. Our first question comes from Tom Kakert, Hawkeye Report. Tom?
Hey, Brian, thanks for doing this. Wanted to ask you about the offensive line play. Seemed to be some struggles. What did you see on film, and what can be corrected in 1 week's time up there?
Yeah, well, I would say that, certainly we struggled in a lot of positions, right? It wasn't just the offensive line. And at some point, we all had a hand in it. And I think that's normal, right? We had a lot of first-time players. We knew going in that there were going to be some bumps in the road. But at the end of the day, when you look at and evaluate the film, I think you always got to start with this. Guys are playing hard. They're trying to block guys. They're trying to strike guys. They're trying to hit them. And that's a good place to start and work backwards from. So what you have to do is you have to go in there and you have to look at it. And I would say this, I'd echo this about any position on our offense. What you're trying to do is understand that it's a 12-game season. And you're running a long race here. It's a marathon. It is not a sprint. So what can we take a look at? What can we fix right now and make incremental progress with to get back to playing at the level that we need to play with? I think a lot of things, whether it's first steps, whether it's eyes, whether it's just, kind of fritzing out on a conceptual understanding thing, frankly, I think those can be addressed and fairly quickly as we move forward here.
Next question, Scott Docterman, The Athletic.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Doing well, Scott.
I'm doing. There's no question that Spencer's put a lot of effort in the off season, whether it's workouts, private workouts, or just the effort that he's put into it has been really high. However, some of the issues that he had on Saturday were similar that in the past, as far as inaccuracy goes. How do you get those corrected that quickly? Is it simply a fundamental issue with him, or is this something that's kind of beyond correcting and you're going to have to live with it and model your game around him in order to advance the ball?
Yeah, excellent question. And, I appreciate you acknowledging the work that he has put in. And what I would do is I would echo that, but I would take it a step further. I think that's what makes Saturday so disappointing, certainly for him, certainly for any of us. And frankly, I did not think it was reflective of what I'd seen in practice dating back to spring, right? April, spring ball, end of March. So, I'd tie it back into my last answer, and I'd say this. I think what's very important for him to understand, for any of us to understand, is that, I referenced it being a 12-game season. Really, you're not talking about 70 plays. You're talking about 840 plays. Right? You're not talking about 25 attempts. You're talking about 300 attempts. You're talking about a body of work. And the key is understanding that there's a process. And I thought he had taken a lot of steps forward, But the reality is, right, when we go out and practice in April, probably as a group and individually, our worst practice was our first practice. And then we improved. And same thing when you come back into fall camp, your first practice wasn't your best practice. Hopefully you're improving each and every day out there. I think the gut reaction is to panic, but what you can't do is that you have to look at it and say, this is a 12-game season. What we need to do is find a way to improve from week 1 to 2. And let's make sure that some of those fundamental things that we had corrected, that we had worked through in the offseason, we can go ahead and push those through into a game environment. And the reality is, when his feet were set and he was delivering the ball the way he should, there weren't any issues. When the fundamentals weren't quite there, there were issues. And I think it gets delved into and analyzed at the quarterback position, and rightfully so. But the reality is, for any of the 11 guys on the field, on either side of the ball or on teams, that's what's always going to come down to. It's going to come down to fundamental issues just general basics of football and technical expertise.
Coach, the next question comes from John Steppe, the Gazette.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Doing well, John.
So obviously Spencer's stat line was not great, 44% completion, 1 interception. How much of that do you attribute to him and his fundamental kind of issues that happened on Saturday versus the offensive line not giving him a ton of protection and kind of other shortcomings on the offense?
Yeah, well, it's like I said earlier, John, we all have a hand when things don't go well. We all have a hand in it. And the beauty of football is it's a team sport. I think the quarterback position is unique from this standpoint. You're out there, right? So it is a team sport, but you're going to be the face of the offense. And when things are good, you're going to reap the rewards of that. And when things are bad, you're going to shoulder the blame. And that's part of the responsibility of playing that position. Certainly it's part of the responsibility of coordinating the offense, right? So when things aren't going well, trust me, it's my fault. The buck stops with me. I think the quarterback position is similar from the guys that are on the field, right? So what I would tell you is the expectation is very simple for all 11 players on the field. We all need to do our job, right? If you're one of the guys on the field, you need to do your job. If you're the right tackle and your job is to block the defensive end, we expect you to do that. But if you're the quarterback and your job is to deliver the football on time and in rhythm, then we expect you to do that, right? And what I would tell you is this: whether the right tackle is blocking the heck out of that defensive end or not, it shouldn't matter to the quarterback, the same way that whether or not the quarterback, is delivering the ball on time, in rhythm, and with accuracy, shouldn't matter to the right tackle. So, you ask to, what percentage, it's hard to say, frankly. I felt like after watching the tape, the majority of that game, we had ample opportunity in the pocket to deliver the ball and do what we needed to do as far as making the read and getting the ball out to the correct guy on time. So is the protection perfect? No. But if you're waiting around for perfect protection, you're going to be sorely, you're not going to be happy with it ever, right? So I would just tell you this: I think a solution is very simple. We all need to do our job better at the end of the day, and that's really what we're focusing on right now.